Hello everybody, Sergeant Soldier here, and we're back with another How to Rust, and today we're going to be diving into the raid damage values of the C4 charge. Now, before we dive into that, one thing that I want to say real quick, thank you to everyone that has really revitalized the How to Rust series. It was the very first Rust series that I really did as a YouTuber that everyone kind of enjoyed, and that's what really built this channel up way back in the day, roughly about a year or so ago. And to see that you guys are really coming back and saying, I love this series, I'm so glad you're back, it really means a lot to both myself and Private Astro, who is really excited to see the channel grow again. So, enough about that, let's get into it. The C4 charge. Now, in order to unlock the C4 charge, you need to be level 25. And it's going to cost you 3,000 charcoal, 2,200 sulfur, 200 metal frags, 5 cloth, 60 low-grade fuel, which means that you're going to need 15 cloth and 45 animal fat to make that low-grade fuel. And this is where this is going to differ from all the other videos. There's 3 different ways to use wood in order to achieve one C4 charge. And I have these 3 ways set up here in this furnace. The first way is what I'm going to call the double stack. Oops. The double stack is going to use 2 stacks of 1,000 sulfur ore and a single stack of 200 with 1k wood. Now, granted, if the stack size of a default vanilla server was more than 1k, this would be so much easier. Unfortunately, it's not. Now, if you do your furnace like this, and at this point, hopefully you guys are using a large furnace and not a single small furnace, but because I decided to use a small furnace for all my figures in the previous videos for solo raiders, I figured I might as well just keep going with it. But please, 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 use a large furnace from this point on. If you're going to use the double stack method, which I have shown here, it's going to take you 2,080 wood to smelt all this sulfur ore down. Now, there's also the triple stack method, which is what we've been using previously, and that's going to be set up like this, and it's going to take you roughly 1,835 wood to smelt all this sulfur ore down. Last but not least is the 4 stack method, set up like so. It's going to take you 1,375 wood to smelt all this ore down. Now, before deciding which type of sulfur stacks to put into your furnace, there's a couple things you're going to want to know, and this is where the C4 video kind of separates itself from all the previous videos. It takes a lot of sulfur to make a single C4 charge, so you got to be a little creative with the math and trying to get everything to smelt right. So looking at the double stack method, as you can see here, we have the 2 single stacks of 1,000 and the leftover stack of 200. With these 2 stacks of 1,000 sulfur ore, your smelted sulfur will reach its max stack size of 1k, after 1k wood has been consumed, as well as it'll leave 600 ore remaining in each of these two 1k stacks. Which means that after 1k wood, you will have a perfect stack size of smelted sulfur without anything dumping on the ground. You'll also have plenty of charcoal in this open slot here, and you'll even have 1 extra slot open just in case. Now, for those of you that are not on a vanilla server, yeah, you might be able to use this a little bit easier because you can have more wood in your furnace. However, for us, yeah, 1k wood, 1k sulfur, there's no sulfur spilled on the ground, there's no wasted wood. This is my preferred method because this actually allows me to leave my base to do other stuff, and I don't have to worry about either A, the furnace running out of wood, and B, I don't have to worry about the furnace dumping a bunch of sulfur on the ground. Now, when you're doing this one, the triple stack method, as you can see here, you have 733 and 734 stacks. With these 3 stacks, your smelted sulfur will reach its max stack size, with a 2 extra sulfur that are going to fall out of the furnace, by the way, after roughly 835 wood, which will leave you stacks of 400 and 399 sulfur ore. Which means that if you want this to burn perfectly, and you're going to use the 3 stack like this, only put 835 wood. Preferably put 834 so that you're not going to lose out on those extra 2 sulfur they're going to pour out. But that's completely up to you. I prefer the other method. If you want to use this method, that's perfectly fine. It is technically less wood in the long run. However, you run the risk of dumping stuff out if you end up going over that 835. Now the last stack method, we have the 4 stack. This one is by far the most dangerous because the sulfur burns a lot quicker because there's 4 stacks of it. Also, as you can see, there's only 1 slot open afterwards, which means you're either A, going to be dumping charcoal on the ground, or B, no, that's it, you're going to dump charcoal on the ground. So pretty much, if you use this one, you're not going to be gathering charcoal, and when it comes to C4, you need all the charcoal you can get. 1 C4 is 3,000 charcoal. At this point in the game, you need to start hoarding this stuff. So, Anyway, get back on track here. With 4 stacks of 550 sulfur ore, your smelted sulfur will reach its max stack size after 625 wood, which will leave 300 remaining ore in each stack. So, only put 625 here, and you will have a perfect 1k stack of smelted sulfur at the end. Now, one last thing to be said before we start blowing stuff up. The math is a little tricky on this one because I compared a single C4 charge to 3 satchel charges. Satchel charges are quite a bit cheaper than the C4 charge. The C4 charge is 1.4 times more expensive than 3 satchel charges, which is, conveniently enough, as you're going to see in a minute, the amount of charges it takes to get through a wood wall. Normally I would compare a one-on-one basis with 1 C4 charge and 1 satchel charge, but the numbers felt a little off to me, so I decided to go with the wood wall method of 1 C4 and 3 satchel charges. So hopefully that'll make sense to you guys. So diving right into it, because this video is already long enough as it is, we're going to grab ourselves some C4. And as usual, we're going to start with the wood wall. So first things first, I'm going to go ahead and toss all these down, and I'm not going to make you guys watch it, so we'll be right back. Alright, starting off with the wood wall, or lack thereof, the wood wall took 250 damage with a single C4 charge, which means it's going to take you 3,000 charcoal, 2,200 sulfur, 200 metal frags, 5 cloth, and 60 low-grade fuel, which comes out to be 15 cloth and 45 animal fat, and because I'm going to be using the double stack method for this video, 2,080 wood. Now, compare that to the satchel charges from the last video. A single satchel charge did 91 damage, but it requires 3 charges to get through this wall, which means it's going to cost you 2,160 charcoal, 1,440 sulfur, 240 metal frags, 30 cloth, 0 low-grade fuel, and 1,200 wood. Obviously, the satchel charges are a lot cheaper, however, it takes 3 of them instead of 1, and you always have the risk of a dud and blowing yourself up. So moving on to the stone wall now. The stone wall sustained 275 damage and will take 2 C4 charges to get through. It's going to cost you 6,000 charcoal, 4,400 sulfur, 400 metal frags, 10 cloth, 120 low-grade fuel, which comes to 30 cloth and 90 animal fat, and 4,160 wood. The sheet metal wall sustained 385 damage, which is still going to be 2 charges, and it's going to be 6,000 charcoal, 4,400 sulfur, 400 metal frags, 10 cloth, 120 low-grade fuel, which ends up being 30 cloth and 90 animal fat, and 4,160 wood. The last wall, the armored wall, sustained 385 damage. It's going to be 3 charges to get through this baby. 9,000 charcoal, 6,600 sulfur, 600 metal frags, 15 cloth, 180 low-grade fuel, which is 45 cloth and 135 animal fat, and 6,240 wood. Now moving on to the doors. Obviously the wood door and the sheet metal door didn't stand a chance, because we all know they only take 1 C4. However, you should not be using a C4 on a wood door, or a wood wall for that matter. The wood door, obviously 200 damage, 1 C4 charge, 3,000 charcoal, 2,200 sulfur, 200 metal frags, 5 cloth, 60 low-grade fuel, which is 15 cloth and 45 animal fat, and 2,080 wood. The sheet metal door, as well as the ladder hatch above it, took only 1 C4 and 250 damage, which comes to 3,000 charcoal, 2,200 sulfur, 200 metal frags, 5 cloth, 60 low-grade fuel, which is 15 cloth and 45 animal fat, and 2,080 wood. Now the last door, the armored door, took 440 damage. It will take 2 C4 charges to get through it, which means it's going to be 6,000 charcoal, 4,400 sulfur, 400 metal frags, 10 cloth, 120 low-grade fuel, which ends up being 30 cloth and 90 animal fat, and 4,160 wood. Now moving on to the 2 external walls, we're going to start with the wood wall first. Now the walls and the gates are identical. It's going to be the same no matter what for either one. And the wood wall took, get this, 495 damage. Now, technically it will take you 2 charges to get through this. However, hatcheting is the most recommended way to finish this up because there's absolutely no reason you should waste a C4 on 33 damage. But just to go by the numbers, 2 charges, 6,000 charcoal, 4,400 sulfur, 400 metal frags, 10 cloth, 120 low-grade fuel, which is 30 cloth and 90 animal fat, and 4,160 wood. However, if you only wanted to use the one C4 charge and do the rest with the hatchet, it'll be 1 charge, 3,000 charcoal, 2,200 sulfur, 200 metal frags, 5 cloth, 60 low-grade fuel, which is 15 cloth and 45 animal fat, and 2,080 wood. Now last but not least, the Stonewall. The Stonewall sustained 275 damage, which ends up being 3 charges at the end. It's going to cost you 9,000 charcoal, 6,600 sulfur, 600 metal frags, 15 cloth, 180 low-grade fuel, which is 45 cloth and 135 animal fat, and 6,240 wood. Now, I know that it probably took me a lot longer to do the math in this video than it normally would. It's like 3 a.m. and this is when I do most of my recording. If there's any math problems that don't quite add up, and maybe I missed something while recording because I'm so damn tired all the time, please let me know in the comment section below. It took quite a while to get all the numbers lined up with everything, pretty much, not only just the wood, but making sure all the damage numbers lined up and all the crafting numbers lined up, so I may have missed something. And the higher up we go with these resources, 3,000 charcoal, 2,200 sulfur, the more mistakes are going to happen. So when it comes to rockets, we may make mistakes. And I apologize if I do, and hopefully you guys will be able to catch it and correct it for me. I may or may not be able to adjust it in the video, but we'll see. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this C4 damage value video. I'm working on the rockets next, and we're going to see after that. We might do something different. We might try to look into other types of videos for this similar theme. I have a couple suggestions that someone had asked me to do, and I may look into that, but I'm not going to spoil it right now. Maybe I'll do that suggestion after this video, because it kind of ties into C4. Yeah, I think I'll do that. But anyway, I'm going to end this video. It's way too long as it is. Sergeant Solge, how to rust. We're looking at the C4 damage values while raiding, and we'll see you in the next How to Rust video. Bye-bye. Thank you so much for watching this episode. If you want to see more great content from Private Astro or myself, please hit that subscribe button and click on any of the videos above. Otherwise, we'll see you in the next Sergeant Solge or Private Astro video. Bye-bye!